Hello, happy Mother's Day to all you patrons out there. Gather round.
Gather round indeed. Happy Mother's Day to mothers, sons, and daughters. Since the mothers, of course, are, we hope, getting all sorts of goodies from their sons and daughters, and maybe a couple of nods from their husbands as well. You may have noticed something, and the patrons may notice it too. It's a different background.
Yeah, what's going on here?
At the moment, I am at Clear Creek Abbey in the wilds of Oklahoma, northeastern Oklahoma, way down yonder in the Indian Nation, down there on the reservation in the Oklahoma hills where I was born.
Is that famous Benedictine Abbey?
It is that famous Benedictine
Wow.
Abbey, with a little touch of a famous Woody Guthrie song, but never mind. No, you didn't get the lyrics. It's fine. I win this one. But yes, I'm at the famous Benedict. What?
Okay, you win. You win it.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I'm at that famous Benedictine Abbey, which I was here. I was summoned to do a talk on Servant of God, Empress Zita, for the Empress Zita Symposium. Amongst other things, Clear Creek Abbey is the headquarters of the American cause for Empress Zita, because the cause in general is run out of an abbey in France called Solesmes. And so they reached out, as the word is, to Clear Creek. And a lady named Diane Schwind is sort of the Suzanne Pearson of things Zita in this country, the way Suzanne is of things Carl.
Okay.
So I was the only non-Habsburg on the bill, so I felt a little, outclassed, inadequate, overshadowed.
I would think you would feel special.
I do feel special, but also all the rest of it. Well, it's a privilege, but at the same time, and of course, we're still dwelling in the aftermath of the coronation. So monarchy is on people's minds.
Beautiful. Strike while the iron's hot. That's what I always say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Though I do have to say, looking at pictures of the coronation, it was a mistake to get rid of knee breeches.
I don't know what knee breeches are exactly. Knee?
Oh, yes, you do. Culottes, 18th century stuff.
Okay, that. Okay, I just didn't know the term for it.
Yeah, look up, since you're looking at the computer, look up George VI coronation.
George VI coronation. Okay, and then photos.
Yeah.
Wow.
The king's wearing knee breeches.
They've got more. They look nicer too. They have different robes on, so they're on the balcony with the crown too. I don't think King Charles did that.
Well, he was on the balcony with the crown, yeah.
Oh, was he on the balcony? Okay.
Yeah, but the long trousers he wore, it's to be more modern and so on, but that's sort of silly. The knee breeches, even though people make fun of them, they go better with the outfit, I think.
They're very yeah. I mean, it for some reason, just as a noob layman on the issue, it makes me think of pictures like the Sun King.
Yeah.
And sort of like a French monarchy situation,
But it was done by everybody. That's why even the founding fathers wore them. If you see pictures of the Declaration of Independence. And I'll show you another one. Look up Coronation Charles III Page, P-A-G-E.
Coronation Charles III Page. Coronation Charles III P-A-G-E.
Yeah.
Okay. You patrons can do this in tandem with me and see what's going on here.
Now you see the tykes have long trousers.
Yeah. Well, yes, we were actually looking at that because obviously my wife and I absolutely love George. George is our favorite.
But you see the pages are wearing long trousers, right?
Yeah. Yes. No. Well, he was one of them.
And red jackets. Exactly. Now go to put in Page Elizabeth II.
Elizabeth. Okay, let's do that. Just Page Elizabeth II. There's not. Oh, there's one. Okay, they kind of have it. There's this picture of them holding, and little bit. not as nice as perhaps the king's breeches, knee breeches.
No, but
But
they look better than what the pages were wearing at the coronation.
yeah,
What I'm saying is, if something like this, long trousers make you look a little dowdy.
yeah,
They don't really go with robes, etc. But you see that the pages have the same jackets.
yeah.
The difference to the trousers. And I'm just saying, when you wear ceremonial garb, knee breeches look better. It's just that people like to make fun of them. But the problem is, you make fun of them all you like, they still look better.
Yeah. I think modern fashion would actually be interested in that because we haven't seen it so long. And
Yeah.
it kind of evokes a different sort of feel. So I think that's a missed opportunity for sure. I agree.
Yeah, no, it's a small point. I mean, it's not that important, but you know, the problem with the cult of progress is that very often it doesn't know what it's doing. My God, if those in charge knew what they were doing, what kind of world would we have?
Yeah, they'd be a lot more efficient at
or other.
No, I feel like at doing bad things, doing the evil plan. Like, were we talking about that before? Where it's lucky that some of these people aren't
Smarter, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's true. It's just that, oh well, never you mind. But
Yeah.
other than that, so we're still basking in the afterglow, and the imperial family here were quite pleasant and gave very good talks.
Is Edward there?
No, Edward's not here.
Oh, too big a deal. Too big. I guess his book tour, etc., etc.
Oh, listen to you.
Nothing can derail that.
And nor should it. I speak from experience. I think I'd be here if I had a decent book going right now. I mean, I meant, sorry, just got a sudden chill, which is funny considering how hot it is. But no, seriously, Edward was not here, but we have the Archduke Rudolph, the grandson of Zita.
Is that the car racer?
No, that's Ferdinand. He's the son of Karl.
Oh, okay.
No, and we have the Grand Duchess Anna Maria, who's married to Prince Golitsyn, a Russian prince.
Okay.
And so the family are represented, and the abbot of the place has been a very, very good host. The Tridentine Mass here is in the monastic rite, and so it's a lot longer.
Wow. Okay, well, is that a first for you?
Yes, it is a first for me.
Wow.
So, well, this isn't the only first. I went to Prime yesterday, the hour of Prime, which in the new rite is suppressed.
Oh.
So I would go to Prime.
Wow.
This is a traditional Benedictine monastery. They have something like 50 or 60 monks, and they've only been going for.
I
Fine to me.
Okay. I forgot. I don't know if it was on EWTN. I was reading sort of about the monastery life, but it's very interesting to me. Kind of one of the business standpoints is you actually can't. I think they said this. You can't grow too big. There's like a sweet spot in terms of the number of people in the monastery.
Yeah.
Where it works great. But if you have too few, then it's just not enough people. Like it's not as efficient. But then if you have too many, then things are starting to come loose a little bit.
Well, that's when you send out groups to start daughter houses.
Interesting. Well, that makes sense.
It's like a beehive, basically.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that's interesting is that, as you might guess, the Sunday Mass is resorted to a great deal by local lay people. So they've got a very large church they've built. It's still far from finished, but it's quite big.
Yeah.
And the railed off part is for the monks. The rest is for the laity. Well, this morning it was packed with people, locals, with children. Lots of children.
Wow.
Now, I can't help in the light of trash can custodians, but think that the leadership of the church are on a search and destroy mission for any part of the church that's actually doing well. Basically, if it's growing, it's doing well, it's filled with youth, it's got to be destroyed. If it's old and corrupt and stupid, it's got to be not only fostered, but foisted on everyone else. Now, if you tried that in business, what would happen?
Then you're declaring get ready for liquidation and bankruptcy and selling your business to the debtors.
Our new CEO has a brand new business plan called bankruptcy. Basically, we're going to mismanage everything into the ground, and anything it's doing well, we're going to stop on. It's called the It's called the Argentine mode.
Oh my gosh.
Peronismo as business practice. I think it's good. I think it's very multicultural.
Well, it's funny how church and state operate in tandem so well.
Stupid wins.
Because I remember you had one of the most interesting factoids from you is one of the most profitable aspects of I think California, the state of California, are parks and recreation.
Yes.
And somehow they're not aware of this.
No, that was some years ago. Unfortunately, they figured it out.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, they've caught on to the gag. But Parks and Recreation was operating in a sort of weird bubble all by itself.
Yeah.
Where it was like doing well and stuff.
Yeah.
Unlike the rest of the state. Fish and wildlife tend to do well too.
Yeah.
But again, that's because the little weenies that run the show aren't really interested in that kind of thing. If you can't have decent governance, the next best thing is the morons running the show not noticing, being in something sort of beyond their ken. Oh yeah, that, okay. Because they're not like interested in stuff. So it's like, oh, never mind. Which I think for a very long time is what did a lot of good for a lot of decent monastic orders. And especially the contemplative nuns, because the morons didn't care about them. Now, unfortunately, they've aroused their interest, hence the new legislation from Rome that has done a lot of search and destroy on various contemplative orders of nuns and contemplative monasteries. So you don't want to be noticed. If you're ruled by good people, you want to catch their eye. If you're ruled by scum, you just want to be ignored. Whether you're parks and recreation or a monastery.
I feel like I can't help but think of your immortal words to Father Bishop, and I wonder if that's in play. If like that card, if we can use the race card at all on any of these things.
Always use the race card if you can get away with it. If you've got the slightest justification for using the race card, do it. I mean, the weenie master comes up to you and says, "Oh, well, I just don't approve of what you're doing." Well, your great-great-grandmother was black, or there's a Jewish convert in the family, or whatever you can pull up.
Yeah.
And then just say, "Oh, I see, you're racist. I get it." "Oh, no, I didn't mean that at all." No, I understand. I'm used to it. That's the only way you can shut the little morons up. But remember, weasels are as weasels are.
Wow.
Does that help? Is that deep and profound?
That is deep and profound. Beautiful,
Okay.
Charles. All right,
Good.
that profound thought is gonna transition us into the questions.
You didn't use transition as a verb, did you?
We are transitioning.
No, we're not. We can make a transition if you wish. I don't mind doing that, but we are not. We are not, let me repeat, not verbing a noun. Do you understand? We're not doing that. I know they say there's no noun you can't verb, but we're not doing it.
Transitioning? That's a modern thing?
Yes.
Wow.
We will make a transition.
Wow. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
God Almighty bless us all. And you wonder why the language is collapsing around our ears. You know, it makes me feel based and red-pilled.
Right. Got it.
It's my cope.
Okay, that's enough, Charles. Okay.
Do you think my cope is cringe?
All right. Nolan. So so I just barely grabbed this one like right before the show.
Yeah.
So welcome Nolan, by the way, literally just became a patron. And get this, Charles. Watch the so we didn't prep for this at all. So this is Charles doesn't know this. So Nolan says, I attended the Servant of God Empress Zeta Symposium and was very glad to meet Mr. Coulombe. I also thoroughly enjoyed his talk. I believe it was during the HIRH Archduke Rudolph of Austria's talk that he mentioned Freemasons stole some important documents from Archduke Franz Ferdinand's desk shortly after his assassination, something he himself felt was a possibility and was concerned about. Could Mr. Coulombe share any knowledge he has about this incident? Additionally, could he elaborate on what role, if any, Freemasons played of the Austro-Hungarian Empire? P.S. I hope he enjoyed Clear Creek Abbey and the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, the answer to the first two is absolutely. I enjoyed meeting Nolan, who's the best friend of a classmate of mine at the ITI. So you see, travel enough and you'll run into everyone you've ever known, or at least friends of theirs.
Wow, small world.
I'll tell you what, it gets smaller every day. But no, I've really enjoyed being here in Oklahoma again. And my first time at Clear Creek Abbey, although it's the second most sacred place I've been to in Oklahoma.
The second most what?
Sacred place I've been to in Oklahoma.
Oh, I feel like this is a trap, but I'll ask what's the first most?
Do you hear yourself?
I did. You created this. If you don't want me to be like this, then don't be like you are.
I've got to be who I am. You know that. I'm a boomer. I don't have a choice. Be authentic. But to answer your question, the most sacred place I have ever been to in all of Oklahoma is, you see that look again?
Dude, okay, just say it.
It's the Will Rogers Memorial. It is a temple, literally, that has grown bigger and bigger in honor of the late, great Will Rogers. I can tell you're not from Oklahoma. All right, look up Will Rogers Memorial, Oklahoma. You'll see it. I've been there.
I'm actually looking up Will Rogers. How do you like that?
I think that
you have no words. Patron's gonna yell at me for not knowing who Will Rogers is.
Well, you know Will.
So he's an American vaudeville performer, actor, and humorous social commentator. He lived from 1879 to 1935. Wow, he died early. Okay, yeah, he was born a citizen of the Cherokee Nation.
That's right.
As an entertainer and humorist, he traveled around the world 3 times. He did 50 silent films and 21 talkies. Wrote more than 4,000 nationally syndicated newspaper columns. By the mid-1930s, Rogers was hugely popular in the United States for his leading political wit and was the highest paid of Hollywood film stars. He died in 1935 with aviator Wiley Post when their small airplane crashed in northern Alaska. I say that's why he died early on. Wow.
It's more than that. Not only is there the temple in his honor here in Oklahoma, there's Will Rogers State Park in Santa Monica, California.
Wow.
Where remember, he was the highest paid.
Yeah.
He had a big mansion, which you can still see, and they play polo there.
It's interesting. It says one of Rogers' most never met a man I didn't like.
That's right. That was his tagline.
Isn't that interesting? I feel like that's very Franciscan or something like that.
So maybe it's Cherokee, but whatever it is, it was certainly Will Rogers.
He doesn't look he doesn't look Cherokee.
A lot of them don't. Nolan and my mutual friend is a member of the Cherokee Nation, but he's also part Scots and part Lemko.
What is that?
Lemko.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh, it's sort of a small subgroup of the Ruthenians.
Okay.
And in fact, his last year in Austria, at Trumau, he and his mother and sister and I made a pilgrimage to the small town southwestern Poland, or southeastern Poland, rather, where his Lemko family are all buried. And it was very near the, oh gosh, what was his name? The man that painted the Campbell's soup cans. Andy Warhol.
I see.
There's an Andy Warhol museum in that part of Poland because his people were also Lemkos or Ruthenians or something. Anyway, so there's a big museum to him in that part of Poland.
Wow.
We drove right by it.
All right. Okay, I'm going to name this times. Is there a fire extinguisher going on? Is there a fire in?
I don't know what that is. Oh, you know what? It seems like they turned on the fan in this room.
That's very loud.
Can you hear me anywhere?
I can hear you, but it just sounds like someone has a fire extinguisher.
It does sound like that. But is this better?
It's better.
All right, let's try this till it goes off.
Okay. Okay. Anyhow. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to name this timestamp Freemason Plot and Will Rogers, just to freak everybody out and be like, oh, wow, Freemasonry Plot and Will Rogers. But
what could that mean? But to answer Nolan's actual question, because time is wasting, we got to move.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I should be talking to this and not to my lapel pin.
Oh.
Is that better?
That's a lot better, actually.
Well, you know what we'll do? We'll break with fashion, and I'll just hold the thing. Is that better?
Yeah.
Volare, oh. All right. I've got my microphone, you know. I feel like a nightclub performer, even though it's tiny. Anyway.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, welcome to the King Kamehameha Lounge, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to have you all here. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitress on the way out. Anyway, no, I'm aware actually of that incident, which is actually sort of heartwarming because in the event, the Archduchess, oh no, she wasn't Archduchess, the Duchess Sophie, the Duchess of Hohenberg, Franz Ferdinand's wife, had left the room to go do something. And I didn't want to say anything while your aunt was here. But the way he said it just sounded so heartwarming, you know. It just shows you how family the scene was. And when Charles went to go find it, it was gone. And the theft was blamed on the Freemasons, and it may well have been them. There might have been someone else, of course. The role of the Freemasons in Austria-Hungary, well, it was the role of the Freemasons everywhere. At once part of society on the one hand, and on the other hand, because it was basically a Catholic society, somewhat subversive. And they, you know, Mozart was a member of the order and a lot of other people in the 18th century. But as time went on and they became more closely associated with the revolution in Austria, they became less respectable. But nevertheless, there was still the heart and soul of the Liberal Party and also the Pan-German Party. And social democracy to a degree. they were certainly the enemies of the House of Habsburg, even if not openly so in the beginning, completely so by the end.
Okay. Alrighty. Vonday Radio has a question.
Okay.
Vonday Radio says, we are familiar with the use of Greek in the Roman Rite with the Kyrie eleison and the Good Friday reproaches. Similarly, are there any uses of Latin in the Byzantine Rite?
Oh, that's a good question. Not to my knowledge, which doesn't mean there isn't any. It just means I don't know about it. But what I do know is that the ceremony of the shroud in the Byzantine Rite on Good Friday is actually a descendant of our own creeping to the cross. And it was picked up by the Byzantines 13 or 1400s. So there has been a certain amount of interaction between the two.
What's the main language in the Byzantine Rite? It's been so long for me, I can't remember.
Well, it depends. It's from Constantinople south, it's Koine Greek. And in the Slavic countries, it's Church Slavonic, Stavroslav.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And of course, with the Dutch Byzantines, it's Dutch.
Yeah. So you went to the Byzantine over there is it near the Byzantine Mass in North Hollywood?
Yeah. It's in that's where your intern goes.
Yeah, that's right.
Although even though she's from Topanga.
Yeah. So how's that over there? I'm interested in that.
Topanga or North Hollywood?
Neither. The Byzantine Mass over there.
Oh, in North Hollywood, you mean?
Yeah.
In Sepulveda. It's very nice. I mean, it's they have it usually in English, but sometimes there'll be more or less of it in Stavroslav, in Church Slavonic. Topanga doesn't actually have a Byzantine Mass, which is probably why your intern and her family go to St. Mary's Proto-Cathedral.
Ah, gotcha. All right.
You tried to go to Topanga?
Yeah, actually, it's really interesting located. It's kind of right in the spot where I've just never been. I've been all over Southern California, but never drove through Topanga.
Well, you need to do that, and you need to have lunch or dinner at the Inn of the Seventh Ray.
Okay.
I took your brother there. He was, duly weirded out.
The Inn of the Seventh Ray. Okay.
The Inn of the Seventh Ray.
I have to write that. I'm going to do that.
You probably want to know what the Seventh Ray is.
I'm sure it's some boomer thing, like the age of Aquarius, in the Seventh Ray, blah blah blah. I don't know.
Do you hear yourself? Think of the rainbow.
Okay.
Now you know the colors of the prism, yes?
Yes.
And you know that the sixth ray is violet, purple, and then it shades off into colors that are not visible by human eyes.
Is it, or is it just end?
No, it shades off into colors that aren't visible to human eyes.
This is so. That's so.
So
that's
what?
That's like hippies. That's like non-religious hippies trying to be religious, but not quite getting there. Like,
Dude.
I believe in the invisible ray of the rainbow.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Why do you have a problem with that? I don't get it.
I don't. I guess it makes sense. They have to fill that void somehow.
Thank you.
They don't believe in much of anything, but they believe in that invisible ray at the end of the rainbow. Okay.
I don't know what to say to that, honestly.
I just
don't know how to respond to you. Obviously, you've got that cynicism that's so much a part of being Generation X.
So much a part of living in Southern California my whole life. All right.
Yeah, well, that's true too. That'll do it to you. You get spoon-fed the age of Aquarius by the time you're 2. And if you've got a brain, by the time you get to adulthood, you've had enough. But never mind.
All right. Ryan says, could Charles elucidate to what Pope Pius VII had, or I guess whether he had a choice in whether or not to attend Napoleon's coronation?
Yeah, he had a choice. He could have said no, but you've got to bear in mind that Napoleon had offered the church a way out of the horrors of the revolution, number one. And number two, he was not at all aware beforehand that Napoleon was going to snatch the crown and crown himself.
Hmm.
He didn't know that. If he had known it, I'm sure he wouldn't have done so. You know, it's sort of an interesting contrast between Charlemagne and Napoleon. Charlemagne did not know that St. Leo III was going to crown him. Pius VI did not know that Napoleon was going to snatch the crown and crown himself. And it's funny because Napoleon considered himself the successor of Charlemagne. But if he had been, really, truly, he'd have waited for Pius VI to do the job.
Interesting. All right. So JOD has a question. I'm not sure if there's a typo in this, but he says, "What is the source of using Latin as a veil?" I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. Latin as a veil? I don't know what he would mean by that. Concealing the meaning of the words? Well, you've got to remember that when Latin was first employed in the Mass, it was employed precisely because everyone understood it. And it continued to be used because people continued to understand it in preference to languages not their own. I would say it was the opposite of a veil, really.
Yeah. All right. Layla, superfan Layla, says, so she titles it Bernard Cromwell. Is this series sharp accurate? Are Mr. Cromwell's books or series historically accurate, or will I be CRT'd? I don't know what CRT is. I realize I have been trying to avoid further damage. Okay, Layla, you got me. Back to Google. CRT. Critical race theory. Okay, so Bernard Cromwell. So what's going on here, Charles?
Okay, well, I've not read the books. I've only seen the TV shows. They're BBC productions. They're fun. I mean, you can't take them for historical accuracy, but they're amusing. I mean, they've got one where they're fighting the Peninsular War in Spain against Napoleon, and they discover an Aztec treasure guarded by Aztec ghosts. I mean, you really cannot take Sharp for historical accuracy as far as the TV shows go. I can't speak to the books. As far as CRT goes, I don't know. CRT is just silly stuff anyway.
All right. Beautiful. All right, that's it for the pre-show, guys. I hope you had a fun time. I know we did. More fun time than the full episode coming at you.
That's it?
Oh, wait, I left one out. Last thing. I want you finally have your shot to read the 8-page Ode to Spring. Go ahead.
How I love the dearest spring. It's great. It's really nice. It's better than the heats of summer. It's not as good as autumn. Winter.
Okay. I get it. You're trying to. Okay, you win. You're winning. You're winning all the time. You're basically Trump level winning right now.
Oh,
we're
winning.
Winners. We're winners. We're winning.
Okay. Is that what we're doing? As my mother would say, "Oh, I see. They had other names for it in my day."
All right, stay tuned, everyone.
And remember, spring doesn't need 8 pages of that kind of garbage. It's doing quite well enough on its own.